Welcome to our daily news program brought to you live on Canal Algérie. These are the headlines. The President of the Republic takes part in Tunis alongside the Tunisian President Qais Said and President of the Libyan Presidential Council Mohamed Yunus al-Menfi in the first consultative meeting of the leaders of Algeria, Tunisia and Libya. The meeting of the leaders of Algeria, Tunisia and the Libya Forum is a forum to exchange ideas aimed at uniting efforts to address common challenges. The details in this bulletin. A significant evolution has been observed with interest in startups emerging, such as this quick delivery company, reflecting the government's commitment to maintaining funding and support for startups. And the Palestinian culture is featured in the Heritage Month with a meeting in Algiers and in the capital. There are open days until May 18th on the Old Medina. Report in this edition. Welcome again, first of all, and at the invitation of his brother Qais Said, President of the Tunisian Republic, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, took part today in Tunis in the proceedings of the first consultative meeting gathering Algerian, Tunisian and Libyan leaders, namely the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, the President of Tunisia, Qais Said, and the President of the Libyan Presidential Council, Mohamed Yunus al-Menfi. The meeting, hosted by the Presidential Palace of Carthage, aims to consolidate coordination between the three countries and unify their positions in quest of facing the current challenges and what benefits the peoples. The leaders of Algeria, Tunisia and Libya underlined at the head of the first consultative meeting held on Monday in Tunis the need to unify positions and intensify consultation and coordination to strengthen the fundamental elements of security, stability and development in the region and strengthen its resilience in the face of emergent regional changes and successive international crises.
لتدعيم مقومات الأمن والاستقرار والنماء بالمنطقة كلها وتعزيز مناعتها لا سيما مع بروز متغيرات ومستجدات إقليمية وأزمات دولية متلاحقة وفارقة لم يعد بالإمكان لأي دولة أن تواجه تداعياتها بمفردها، فضلا عن الحاجة الملحة لأن يكون للدول الثلاث صوت مسموع موحد وحضور مؤثر وفاعل في مختلف فضاءات الانتماء الإقليمية والدولية.
The three leaders agreed as well on the periodic organization of this meeting, alternated between the three countries in order to advance the privileged bilateral relations which link each country to the other, towards a new qualitative phase going beyond the bilateral framework for reflection and collective action. The leaders also highlighted their full availability to open up any sincere and credible political will which shares the same constructive common priorities to promote and enrich this common collective action and deepen understanding and cooperation in the service of the security and stability and development of the region, and which must be sheltered from politics of all the axes and the dangers of foreign interference. At the Carthage Palace in the Tunisian capital and ahead of the official kickoff of the proceedings of the consultative meeting gathering the three leaders, the head of state Abdelmajid Tebboune, the Tunisian President Qais Said and the President of the Libyan Presidential Council Mohamed Yunus al-Menfi took a souvenir photo immortalizing this meeting, which brought together the three brothers in Tunisia in a first step toward the edification of a perennial regional cooperation. The President of the Republic was welcomed at the entrance of Carthage Palace, which is the place holding the meeting, by his brother Qais Said, President of Tunisia. The two leaders then posed for the national and international press. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, arrived this Monday afternoon to the international airport of Qartaj in Tunis. A warm welcome was reserved to the head of state by President Qais Said. After listening to the national anthems of the two countries and the flag salute, the two heads of state reviewed a formation of the Tunisian Honor Guard, which paid them the honors. Later on, the President of the Republic greeted the high executives of the Tunisian state who welcomed him. And for his part, the Tunisian President Qais Said greeted the Algerian delegation. At their head, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and National Community Abroad, Ahmed Attaf, as well as members of the diplomatic corps of the Algerian embassy in Tunisia.
السلام عليكم. مستشار رد السفارة. أهلا وسهلا مرحبا. أهلا وسهلا. أهلا وسهلا. العام المستشار بسفارة. مستشار بسفارة الجزائر. أهلا وسهلا. أهلا وسهلا. أهلا وسهلا.
At the VIP lounge of Qartaj International Airport and following the welcoming ceremony, President Abdelmajid Tebboune held bilateral discussions with President Qais Said alongside delegations from both countries. The talks focusing on the upcoming consultative meeting involving the leaders of Algeria, Tunisia and Libya also delved into bilateral relations and the potential for cooperation between the two nations. In a statement to the press following his reception by the Tunisian president, the President of the Republic emphasized the strength of the Algerian-Tunisian relations. President Qais Said, after welcoming the President of the Republic for his part, hailed Algeria's consistent support for Tunisia.
الله يحمي تونس، ربي يحمينا جماعة الجزائر ويحمي تونس ويرفع كلمة الحق وسننتصر إن شاء الله.
قلوبنا دائما مع الشعب التونسي ومع أخي قيس. نعم، تونس شوف، تونس تتأثر بكل شيء وما تسقطش. بلدان تونس تسقط إن شاء الله. تونس دائما واقفة.
دائما واقفة إن شاء الله. الجزائر دائما.
Before returning back to Algeria, the President of the Republic had talks with President of Tunisia Qais Said and the Libyan Presidential Council Chairman Mohammed Yunus Al-Menfi. After taking part in the proceedings of the first consultative meeting gathering Algerian, Tunisian and Libyan leaders held in Qartaj Presidential Palace, the head of state Abdelmajid Tebboune left the Tunisian capital. He was seen off at the Qartaj International Airport by President of Tunisia Qais Said. هذا ينقراه. Earlier today, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, left Algiers to the Tunisian capital, Tunis, and that in order to take part in the consultative meeting gathering the leaders of Algeria, Tunisia and Libya. And after listening to the national anthem, the head of state reviewed detachments of the Republican Guard, which honored him. At the Houari Boumediene International Airport, President Tebboune was seen off by Prime Minister Nadir Al-Arbawi and the Army General Sayed Chief of Staff of the People's National Army. The presidential plane heading to Tunis was escorted through Algerian airspace by the Air Force's Eagles aboard Algerian National People's Army fighter jets. The proceedings of the first consultative meeting bringing together the President of the Republic, Abdelmadjid Tebboune, the Tunisian President, Kais Saied, and the President of the Libyan Presidential Council, Mohamed El-Menfi, took place this afternoon at the Palace of Carthage. It was an opportunity to discuss the situation in the region, aiming to unite efforts to face common economic and security challenges. Report by Dalal Boutaba, taken up by Rani Al-Bahri.
In an increasingly complex geopolitical context and the world that is evolving as a whole, the Maghreb integration is more essential than ever. It is in this spirit that Algeria, which is leading sustained efforts to relaunch common action in the Maghreb region, wants to strengthen cooperation with Tunisia and Libya in the service of the interests of the peoples of the region.
Algeria has taken the lead by launching a series of projects to create economic integration in North Africa. This reflects the will of the President of the Republic, who had repeatedly insisted on the need to create a Maghreb body with an institutional framework, like organizations of the countries of Central and West Africa. The will to organize this meeting was expressed during the gas summit organized in Algeria last March, which resulted in the establishment of a consultation mechanism and coordination between Algeria, Tunisia and Libya.
It's not just about economic cooperation, it's about cultural exchange by boosting diplomatic dynamics and bringing together active forces to boost cooperation between Algeria and neighboring countries.
The first consultative meeting brought together Algeria, Tunisia and Libya. It embodies the desire of the three countries to unify and intensify their efforts to face security and economic challenges. Algeria plays a key role, welcomed by most countries in the world and by international and regional organizations.
Algeria plays a pivotal role. The bilateral relations between Algeria and Tunisia have experienced in recent years an important dynamic, which has resulted in the Algerian initiative to launch promising integrated projects, with the upcoming creation of the free trade zone between the two countries, which offers promising prospects for cooperation.
It is also about unifying the positions of these countries on several international issues without excluding any party, serving common interests while facing threats of foreign interference.
We must unite to confront any foreign interference that threatens the stability and mortgage economic development. We have significant potential in the Maghreb region. We aspire to stimulate economic growth. In this context, Algeria is a stable country which is full of important assets. It is called upon to play a key role in the region to achieve the Maghreb integration.
Algeria's commitment to Maghreb integration is illustrated by numerous strategic partnership projects, including the upcoming launch of 5 free zones with its neighbors serving common interests. Algeria's sincere attachment to this approach reflects the desire to relaunch common action within the framework of the Maghreb region to respond to the interests and the aspirations of the peoples of the region.
The President of the Republic confirmed yesterday during the Council of Ministers the government's commitment to maintaining funding and support for startups. A significant evolution has been observed with interest in startups emerging, such as this quick delivery company. Maya Kharfi and Yasin Hamdi.
Sami is a young and ambitious project holder who decided to become an entrepreneur by creating a digital delivery platform, a successful service aiming to boost the e-commerce in Algeria.
انتشار تجارة إلكترونية باش تنجح تجارة إلكترونية لازم شركات توصيل هما.
To promote the e-commerce, we must develop the delivery companies to facilitate the fast distribution of products to the clients. We notice that the delivery services in Algeria still don't meet the needs of the market. That's why we created this delivery startup. We will try to get the startup label that will give us access to all the facilitations and benefit from the tax exemption for 4 or 5 years.
لمدة 4 سنوات تقدر تروح حتى ل5 سنوات.
A quick and simple delivery solution that saves time and energy in just one click.
I'm in charge of the orders. I do my best to deliver them to the clients as soon as possible. We manage the packages from the warehouse to the final delivery. I handle the clients' calls. I assist them with an instant follow-up via the monitoring system.
The number of facilitations for the e-commerce is increasing as Algeria wants to develop a new dynamic economy by supporting the startups and the project holders.
In other news, the Council of the Nation published a special issue of its magazine dedicated to the President's address to the nation, delivered before both houses of Parliament on December 25, 2023. This issue was produced under the supervision and initiative of the President of the Senate, Saleh Boujil. In preparing this issue in Arabic and French, the Council of the Nation emphasized that it has sought to achieve the President's vision, focused on innovation in governance and strengthening the links between the state and society. In a different story, Premier Nadir Al-Arbawi received today in Algiers the General Director of the International Organization for Labour, Gilbert Hongbo, now on a working visit to Algeria, a meeting that took place in the presence of the Minister of Labour. The two parties then reviewed the different activities and projects as part of the bilateral cooperation. The General Director of the International Organization for Labour was equally received by the head of the Algerian diplomacy, Ahmed Attaf. The relations between Algeria and the organization were reviewed on the occasion, as well as the means to further boost them via the establishment of a cooperation program of a regional and continental dimension. Entitled Economic and Global Changes and National Security in Algeria, the seminar was organized by the Higher National Security Studies Institute this Monday at the National Army Circle in Beni Messous, here in the capital Algiers. A seminar chaired by Major General Mohamed Salah Ben Bisha, Secretary General of the National Defense Ministry. Najah Tayyar with the details.
The seminar was attended by members of the government, advisors to the President of the Republic, forces and national gendarmerie commanders, the commander of the 1st Military Region, the heads of departments and central directors of the Ministry of National Defense and the National People's Army General Staff, and the director of the National Institute for Global Strategy Studies. At the outset, Major General, Secretary General of the Ministry of the National Defense, in his opening address, stressed that the measures taken by the Algerian state had proved their effectiveness in economic and social terms, seeing that the national treasury has been strengthened and Algeria has managed to restore the external debt, thereby reinforcing its political sovereignty. For her part, the director of the Institute of Higher National Security Studies confirmed that the aim of this national forum was to provide a strategic analysis of transformations of the global economy and to identify their implications for Algeria's national security. The seminar proceedings took the form of plenary conferences led by specialists in the field of the national economy, the challenges and the intensification of efforts to preserve macroeconomic balance without compromising national security, namely the modernization of the agricultural sector and the improvement of food security, the new sectors of change in the national economy, and the new orientations of the partnership with the European Union. This was followed by a workshop on the logic of the Algerian economy transformation, followed by an open debate between the participants. This national seminar aims to highlight the global trends and their impact on the national economy and to build a vision capable of meeting the challenges by mastering the new rules of the global economy and identifying the opportunities available to Algeria, identifying the main risks and their repercussions on the national economy and security, and adopting a forward-looking vision of the economic trends in Algeria.
In a different context, the Minister of Communication urged state-owned media companies with an economic focus to make more efforts to integrate into the advertising market and find new sources of funding outside state support. The statement was made during a working visit to Constantine Province. Mohamed Laqab inspected the headquarters of the EPTV regional station and was briefed on the coverage and program production. Abroad, dozens of Palestinians were martyred and several others were injured this Monday at dawn in a new massacre committed by the barbaric Zionist occupation army. The center of Gaza and the southeast of Khan Yunis were simultaneously targeted. Furthermore, at least 200 Palestinian bodies were discovered buried in hospital courtyard. More details with Najah Tayar.
What is happening in the Gaza Strip in the full view of the whole world has no limits and does not obey any international humanitarian law. At least 210 bodies were found in two mass graves in the courtyard of Al-Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis, south of the Palestinian enclave. While the search continues, rescuers have indicated that there are at least 400 bodies. Most of them are women and children. The government media office in Gaza said several bodies were found and had been decapitated and their skin and organs removed. Rescue teams also reported that some bodies had their hands tied behind their backs, demonstrating that they were executed and buried on site. Others were stripped of their clothes, testifying to the torture and the ill treatment inflicted by the occupying army. Despite all the atrocities committed by the Zionist entity, the United States refuses to reverse its blind unconditional support for the Zionist ally. This macabre discovery comes at a time when the United States approved military aid of $13 billion of its ally aid that encourages the Zionists to continue their aggression and go further in their murderous madness. Parallel to this devastating war, attacks by the occupying army and the Zionist settlers in the West Bank have reached alarming levels, leaving 485 dead, including 120 children, nearly 4,900 injured, and 8,400 detained. This morning, again, 15 Palestinians were arrested in the West Bank.
And once again, hundreds of Moroccan people took to the streets of Meknes to voice their support with the Palestinian people and denounce the normalization of relations with the Zionist entity. The protesters also called for the release of young Moroccan prisoners arrested for demanding an end to agreements between Morocco and the Zionist entity. Back to Algeria, where the Palestinian cause is always present. The Heritage Month is the occasion to highlight the artistic fusion of the heritage of the two countries, such as the exposition organized at the Mustafa Katib Cultural Center. Youssef Taraf and Yasin Hamdi.
A cultural heritage that unites Algeria and Palestine. The organization of this event immerses us in the mutual cultural treasures of the two countries and highlights the similarities and the differences of the Algerian-Palestinian popular traditions. The perfect occasion for the visitors to discover the diversity of the cultural heritages of the two people.
This day represents the solidarity and sharing between two people who suffered a lot. It's the occasion to make the Algerians discover the Palestinian culture and the Palestinians the Algerian culture. We have points in common with Palestinians regarding the Islamic civilization. We have to show our solidarity with them.
This exposition has a deep symbolic that represents a lively dialogue between two nations united by strong historical and cultural bonds.
Dans le cadre du mois du patrimoine, nous avons organisé une exposition du patrimoine palestinien.
As part of the Heritage Month, we organize an exposition of the Palestinian heritage because there are similarities with our culture, especially with the current situation. We have to highlight the Palestinian patrimony.
Mettre un petit peu en valeur le patrimoine palestinien.
This kind of event strengthens the solidarity bonds between the two brotherly countries, a source of inspiration for the coming generations to preserve and perpetuate this precious mutual heritage.
And with that, our today's news edition comes to a close. Thank you for tuning in.